Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Professor Leon Blevins of El Paso Community College Television. This is late May of 2017. I've been doing this program for 10 years, and I can tell you that today I have more guests sitting here with me than I've had in 10 years before. 5 of these guests are kittens, and 3 are lovely ladies that work with an organization that helps work with kittens and cats here in El Paso and help them to have a good life. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. You are?
My name is Liz Holtz, and I'm with a national organization called For All Animals, and I work with the local group in El Paso.
Okay, Elizabeth, okay?
My name is Theresa Guerra, and I'm a volunteer with Sun City Cats. I've been involved for about a year now.
Okay. Theresa?
Yes, sir.
And?
Hi, my name is Veronica, and I'm the foster mom.
A foster mom.
Yes.
For kittens. All right. Well, this is great. Well, we were contacted by Theresa and asked about being on the show, and she's seen the program before. And we want to talk about this very special work. And I should start off, I have a bias in this area. My wife and I have been married since the early 1960s, and we, throughout that time, have had cats, usually one at a time. Our first was Blackout, solid black, and then we've gone through a number of them. In 2000, we ended up with a lovely, lovely kitten named Cassie, and then our current cat is Jira, which means God provides. And what my wife did in naming that cat God Provides, she wanted a cat that would be a lap cat. That's the kind of cat that she likes. That's her therapy, okay? We both belong to the Cat Lovers of America. We have t-shirts like this, Cat Lovers of America, and we have our cups and our membership cards. And sometimes I do dance programs as Cat Man for different organizations here in El Paso. So yes, I have a bias. I like dogs, but especially we love to have a cat, indoor cat, one at a time. Elizabeth, tell us about your connection to cats.
Personally,
Yes.
I just grew up loving animals. Now I have 2 cats and 2 dogs, but I went to law school just to do animal rights advocacy, and I was happy to do any kind of animal, but I sort of fell into cats, and so I've been a cat lawyer ever since.
That's an unusual profession, it really
Yeah.
is, but I understand that. Now, when I would go to class dressed as Catman, I would ask the students, how does this relate to government? Many of them, they had no idea. But once in a while, someone would say, well, it has to do with the fact we have to have shots for our animals. We have to have tags for them. And then later they added something called the chip. And so now more and more of our students in college are aware of the role of government with regard to animals. And you actually are a lawyer in that aspect. Mm-hmm. Okay. Theresa, is it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what about your relation and your connection?
I have been an animal lover as well, growing up, cats and dogs, and I was asked to put an announcement on our electronic reader board at the office announcing Sun City Cats, and once I did that, asked more questions, got involved, and I am committed to the cause. I didn't realize what an outdoor cat population we have, and I'm here to help in any way I can.
What we call feral cats. They're just
Feral
running
and
through.
community cats. There's a lot of outdoor cats that are friendly as
Yes.
well.
Right.
So
Just a few days ago, we were having a conversation with a granddaughter and her husband and our great-granddaughter, and they were telling us about, my granddaughter said when she was in elementary or middle school somewhere in there, and they had a doggy door. And sometimes she'd wake up in the early morning, there'd be a cat lying on the bed with her or making noises, and they had a dog in the house. Dog would come after it, and the cats would be going up and down the walls and so on. And she had some vivid stories to tell of her remembrances with cats in the house. And what about you?
I've also been an animal lover all my life, and to be a foster mom requires a lot of work and a lot of commitment because they don't have their mom to survive. So basically, you are responsible for their survival.
So you're a volunteer, and we saw you
Yes.
before we went on air or taping that you were feeding the cat from a bottle,
Yes,
or maybe 2 of them. You
Yes.
did one and then you did another one to keep them contented as a cat.
exactly.
Okay. And About how many hours, say, a week do you contribute to this particular volunteer organization?
Oh, wow. I wouldn't be able to say exactly because they have different needs as they are growing. But for example, a 2-day-old kitty needs to be fed every 2 hours around the clock.
Okay. Around the clock?
Around the clock.
Okay. So you made the commitment to get up in the middle of the night and feed them. Do you have a family? Do you have? Are you married and have children?
Yes, I do. I have 4 kids.
And they help?
One of them really, really helps.
Well, that's good to have somebody in the
Yes.
family, somebody else in the family that's involved in your work. Then, it's very rewarding work, isn't it?
It is. We just want to make sure after they've been in the foster program that they get forever loving homes. After investing so much time and love, we don't want to have them end up in the streets or abused.
Right.
So that is very, very important.
Well, Theresa, how do you place these cats then?
Well, the issue right now at the end of May, it's kitten season, and they are everywhere, and I help take the messages from the Sun City Cats line, and a lot of the calls are people saying, there's a mama cat, we found kittens on the side of our house, we found kittens in our backyard, what do we do? So people need to understand that the kittens are best off with their mamas. There is no one else like their mamas. So to remove the kittens, people think they're doing the right thing by taking them, but all that is doing is putting the mama out to have more kittens. So we suggest you call us. We get back with you as soon as we can. We all have full-time jobs. We ask that you be patient. Leave the mama there with the kittens, and we will guide you through the process. The ideal situation is to socialize the kittens so that they have a chance at an indoor loving home and won't live their life on the streets. And then we walk them through the Trap-Neuter-Return process, and Liz is instrumental and is the guru in that department, so she can give you the information on that.
You're a full-time professional. What is your
Yes, sir.
line of work? What do you do?
I am an executive assistant at Western Refining.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so you had a note about this on your message board at Western Refining.
Yes.
Okay, Elizabeth, tell us then about some of the legal aspects of this.
Sure. Well, she just mentioned Trap-Neuter-Return, which is the best approach to community cats. So if all this group, Sun City Cats isn't actually a rescue. They're primarily a Trap-Neuter-Return group. But of course, when you're in the animal world, you end up with kittens, and then so they do get these, some of them adopted. But for decades, the approach by municipal governments has been to trap and then unfortunately euthanize the cats at the shelters. This went on for decades. And as recently as 2012 in El Paso, for example, 25,000 out of 33,000 animals were being killed every year. But a few years ago, last year, El Paso adopted Trap-Neuter-Return, where community cats are humanely trapped, spayed or neutered, vaccinated against rabies, and then ear-tipped, a small part of usually the left ear is removed to indicate they've been through the process. And then they're put back outdoors. So my job is I travel around the country working with municipal governments trying to get them to make this switch.
I have an issue about responsible or irresponsible animal owners or caretakers. People that attract cats just by putting food out for them on a regular basis, but they don't have any other responsibility. Don't have any responsibility beyond that. Or some that they love them so much. We hear stories, horror stories about people that have 100 cats in their house and all of the problems that causes. They just love them too much. And we've had cases, a neighbor years ago had many, many cats, but was not responsible. And then when left town and moved to another city to be close to a daughter, just left all those cats to roam the neighborhood. And some of them come and they tear the screen on our house because our indoor cat wants to communicate with them and they want in, and so I end up with torn screens and things. I've talked to my students about responsible pet. We want to be free to own animals. Deal with that. You're a lawyer. What about the responsibility side? What can be done to people that don't take care of their animals?
Well, you're kind of talking about two issues. So community cats don't have owners, so there's not someone who would be legally responsible. The issue, though, for the reason we have so many community cats, though, is because people with owned cats aren't spaying and neutering them. So I think personally, the most important part of being a responsible pet owner is having your animal spayed and neutered when they're young or whenever you get them.
Right.
And then keeping, treating them like a member of the family. So when you move, they move with you. And if for whatever reason you're not able to relocate with them, you don't just dump them outside. You're responsible for finding them another place.
Let's talk a little bit about the cats that you deal with. How long are you going to get to know this kitten?
Veronica's a foster mom. We brought them so that the public could see that they need good homes. And of course, they would have to fill out an adoption application. When they are about 8 weeks old, they'll be ready to be adopted, and of course, spay and neutered and vaccinated, etc.
Can we put a number up? Could you give us a number
Yes,
so people can contact
absolutely.
you and say,
We
I've already
have a
fallen in love
website.
with that little gray cat right there?
Right. We have a website. We have a telephone number. We have a Facebook page. So there are several ways to contact us.
Okay, you want my co-producer then at some point to put
Yes.
that on the screen for
Yes,
you,
please.
rather than you having to put it out
Yes.
verbally. So we could do that. Now, as a foster mom, how long are you going to keep these kittens?
Well, as
Approximately.
long as they find their forever homes, which is not ideal, obviously, because I have my other pets and my kids. But after investing so much time, I'm not going to take them to a shelter or somewhere that I wouldn't be able to track them or to know what happened to them. It's very important for me to know that they're going to be well kept and loved for the next 20 years.
And
of
how
their
long have you
lives.
been doing it?
Well, I've done it all my life, but with Sun City Cats, just recently I've volunteered to help them.
Well, if someone doesn't, say, adopt the kitten as it becomes a cat, and you fall in love with it, then you could end up with a big house full of cats, right?
Like me.
Is that what happened to you? Tell us your case. What happened?
I started as a foster mom with the program, and I even built a catio next to my house, so it's an enclosed, screened area. So while I'm at work, they are able to sunbathe and relax, and they have their little door to go back in when they like. But we do get attached and want to make sure that they do go to the right home. So it's difficult to give them away once they reach a certain age.
Okay.
And there are so many in need, and since I'm part of the program, I've taken on that responsibility to help others as well.
How many volunteers do you know right now that you have working with you?
Not enough.
Well, I understand that.
Not
but
enough. At most 15, maybe 20.
for a
And
city-
we are in desperate need of anybody that's willing to help transport, foster, answer phone lines. We're a very small group, and like I said, we all have full-time jobs with families and husbands and school, and but we do what we can. So I ask the viewers to please call us if you have any extra time that you'd be willing to dedicate to the program.
Then let's come over here to Elizabeth on this one. Are there organizations that you're associated with or know of that help financially with some of these kind of situations? Grants or funding to help in these situations?
There is a great deal of grants and funding out there. PetSmart Charities is a big one. They do a tremendous amount of Trap-Neuter-Return funding. But I think with Sun City Cats, of course, they do need funding, and I would encourage everyone to donate to them. They also really just need manpower, and that's something that's not available. There's really nobody out there paying for employees, So I would say Sun City Cat, their biggest need is just people out there on the streets trapping and taking the cats to the veterinarian and returning them.
Right. In the past, I had Betty Hoover on the program. You know Betty
Yes.
well, and when she first took over the Humane Society, very excitingly, brought a dog. He was lying right there, so nice and friendly and everything. And she has a heart out there for this too, and working toward a no-kill society, a no-kill city. Did you have some legal work to do with that?
Yes, so El Paso last year adopted a Trap-Neuter-Return ordinance that I helped draft, and essentially it makes it so it protects the cats and it protects the people who take care of the cats. Because in some cities, unfortunately, El Paso's very, the residents of El Paso are very lucky that El Paso has such a humane approach. In other cities, you can be fined or even arrested for helping cats. So,
Well, tell me a little bit, any of you, tell me a little bit about the mood of the city of El Paso. You sense the mood of the city. Are they pretty responsive to this kind of thing, or are they kind of just leave us alone, don't bother us, let the animals be? What do you sense about us as a city?
We are moving to change the culture of the city. For so many years, if people found animals outside, dogs as well as cats, they would call animal services, they'd send an officer, they'd pick them up, they would be euthanized. So we get those calls through the Sun City Cats line or through emails saying, we have a problem, come get, we need to get rid of them. Or we need to relocate them. Well, we're not a relocation service. What we're here to do is educate the public, teach them. We're not in every neighborhood, so we depend on the responsible people in each neighborhood to help us help them.
Okay.
And so that we can all live amongst each other. The cats, they know animal services no longer comes and picks them up and gets rid of them.
Okay, in your organization, you said it's very small, you mentioned 15 or something. You look at the city and you say, now this part of town has the biggest issue with regard to loose animals, especially in this case cats. And this one has less of a problem with it. Is there a certain part of town where you see it's a bigger problem than others?
There are no boundaries. They are everywhere. They are west side, east side, south of the freeway, north of the freeway. Wherever there's people, there is cats.
And where there's food.
So we ask the people, I know for many years, I'm learning as I go, there were so many people in fear of coming forward and asking for help because they would get fined in the past for feeding. And now with our program, we want to reach out to everybody and let them know we will help you. Everything is confidential, and it is not illegal to feed if you work with us and go through the Trap-Neuter-Return process.
Yeah. Well, this question may get me in trouble, I don't know. Some people oppose pet stores selling cats. And you hear this issue. And my wife, I think she did get one time that way, and it ended up with, very quickly, she discovered it had leukemia or something. But most of them, I think maybe all of them that she's gotten from a vet. And the ones that she gets from the vet usually are pretty healthy and well cared for, a foster parent or something caring for them. What about that? What about that issue?
So what you're
The pet stores selling
The
cats.
pet stores selling cats. There aren't as many pet stores that sell kittens as there are puppies, but there's something called a retail pet sale ban. And this is an ordinance, a law, that makes it illegal to do that. And those are really taking off. They're becoming very popular. So I would hope that in 15 years we won't see pet stores selling animals.
Okay. Well, that's a good question. I wasn't aware that there was a movement to kind of stop that. Now, you're a leader of this movement. Any thoughts on some of these things? Maybe something I've overlooked.
Well, I think it's instrumental to let everyone know the reason why Trap-Neuter-Return is so effective. And I learned this from Liz. She came last year and spoke downtown at the Plaza Theater, and it was such an education to listen to her explain everything. It's called the vacuum effect. And if you, in the past, they were taking these cats, euthanizing them, well, then the new group was coming in, and they were breeding to capacity. So there was no end to the breeding. It wasn't, and the taxpayers were paying for the euthanization and the manpower at Animal Services. So with this approach, we keep the areas contained, and with responsible feeders and caretakers, I see a positive change in this city.
So if I have a cat trap and I could catch the cat and contact your organization, and do you come and pick up the
Well,
trap? And
here's
take
the
cat?
thing.
How does it work?
We discourage people to trap on their own without our guidance. There's a humane way to do it. We will walk you through it, and if they're elderly or disabled, we will more than gladly personally go to your home and transport the cat for you. On our website, there's veterinarians that have been very gracious, and they have lowered their spay and neuter fee, the rabies shot and the tipping of the ear. And Also, we work closely with animal services and their veterinary staff, and we have been successful in having monthly events, Trap-Neuter-Return events at the Socorro Clinic. Contact us, we will put you on the list. We have a very kind veterinarian with animal services that goes in on her day off, and her staff, and she does about 60, 65 on a Saturday. And it's really very touching. I'm speaking for myself. When I would go in the wintertime and it wasn't even light outside at 6 in the morning, and you see everyone out there with their cat traps covered, trying to make a change for everyone. So there is a lot of committed people in the community that are willing to help.
Now, would you bring the trap to my house and set it? Or do I
Yes.
come and get it and I take it and I set it?
If you are able to come to my house, I can walk you through it. If you are unable to come to my house, I will go to yours or one of the volunteers, and we will teach you how to humanely trap it.
Okay, so if I trap one, you would come and get it and take that cat to be processed?
Yes, we would make arrangements with a veterinarian first. I totally discourage anyone to trap without making prior arrangements with a veterinarian or with animal services.
Oh, okay,
We're all about humane trapping
Okay.
and doing the best for these kitties.
all right. Let's talk about how it affects others, your children, for example. How has this affected your children with regard to their understanding about it? You said you have one that especially is helpful to you with the mothering.
Well,
of
they
the child.
obviously understand there's an overpopulation of cats, and that they not necessarily have somebody to take care of them, so that people that are willing to take care of them outside their homes and they're willing to feed them, they also should be willing to fix them.
So you're teaching them character, you're teaching them responsibility and things of that
I
nature.
am, because if you're basically taking on the responsibility of feeding a cat, you're also responsible of fixing it. So instead of having one, then you'll end up with 12 kitties to feed.
Well, one of yours is fixing to get away.
Yes.
One that we did not like. Okay. Now, what happens when you and your children fall in love with this one and someone says, I want that one?
Well, the problem is not necessarily that. It's just knowing that they're going to be loved. So being a foster failure is not an option. You want to be a successful
You want them to be adopted.
foster
yeah.
because you want for them to be adopted. So next time I am able to help. If I get a bunch of kitties and I'm overwhelmed, then the next time I won't be able to help.
Yeah. What are the veterinarians around town, are they kind of a chain of information for everybody working through you and saying, we have these people that are looking for a kitten of a certain age or whatever? Do these vets work with you?
We do. We work with them, and also if there are any veterinarians listening, we are making our ploy to ask that you all join the program as well, because there's such a need in all areas of town.
Okay. And then say this one could be taken to the vet's office, to their cage, and people could see it's there? You don't do that?
We haven't done that yet because these babies are still in foster care. But
Okay.
if the
But if
need
they
were to
go beyond,
arise,
how long do you keep one in foster care?
Well, if they're in foster care, the ideal is for them to be 8 weeks old. But obviously, if there's somebody interested, we could make arrangements for them to meet the kitty and make the commitment, fill the application, and then when they're ready, they'll have the kitty
Okay.
at that point.
Do you have an estimate of what you would say to someone it's going to cost them to adopt a kitten?
we don't charge for any adoptions.
You don't charge for
No,
any
sir.
adoptions?
We just want to make sure they get a good home, and we would make sure that they were spay and neutered before they would go to their
Yeah,
home.
because some of the puppy meals and the kitty meals, they're doing it for profit.
Right,
They're
no,
not
there is no
interested in
profit.
it.
This is, we're here to help the cats and help the community as a whole. And we realize that a lot of people are not cat lovers, and we offer humane deterrence as well. We put door hangers in different areas of the city explaining the vacuum effect, and you can use something as simple as used coffee grounds to put in your gardens to keep them out, or lemon peels. And as Liz was saying this morning, I didn't know this, Starbucks gives the coffee grounds
Oh,
to
good.
the community if there's an area or there's people that don't want them in their gardens. But on a brighter note, they kill rodents, they kill lizards, and I can't remember the last time I had to exterminate my home. So
Well, when I brought him in yesterday, some of the staff were up front, and I said, well, I'm bringing him in, you won't have any mice or cockroaches around.
Exactly.
They said, good.
Exactly, and they're very therapeutic.
Yeah.
They rock.
Yeah, well, there are some disadvantages to have neighbors' cats in your yard, but they do keep down the cockroaches and the mice. And so I don't make too big of an issue with some of my neighbors if there's just a few. But it was a neighbor that had like 30 cats. Also, that neighbor, who's now moved to a different city, would throw bird seed out for birds. Well, the birds then would attract more cats. And so we had a super issue there, and it was not a very friendly relationship.
Well, if you still have that situation, we'll be more than glad to
Yeah.
help with the trap-neuter-return process of your
Well,
neighbor.
they moved a number of years ago to another city after he retired and their daughter was living somewhere else. But they left a bunch of those cats, and I'm sure a bunch of them got trapped or hit by cars, and other kinds of things happened to them because the numbers are not as bad as they used to be. But it's all over town, as you said. It's
Everywhere.
We have about 4 minutes remaining, so have I overlooked any important question? What should I have asked? Think about that.
Just that we ask the community to work with us, be patient with us, and allow us to educate and empower. And for those that have questions, to step up. Like I said, all of our information is confidential, and we're here to help you.
Okay.
And I would say the other thing is that she mentioned the vacuum effect. So this is not, Trap-Neuter-Return and what Sun City Cats does is not just for people who love cats. It's also for people who hate cats because Sun City Cats is the only organization working to reduce the population. So it can seem counterintuitive when someone who hates cats calls and they're very angry. They want to just have the cat trapped and removed. So we explain the vacuum effect. We say, it won't work. You're going to have a whole new batch of cats in a few months. So whether you hate cats or you love cats, this is your only choice right now. This is the only effective way we have.
And there we are with perhaps the most unusual show that I've had in 10 years on this program, with 5 wonderful kittens and 3 lovely ladies talking about the importance of dealing with animals in the city of El Paso, Texas, and particularly cats. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Leon Blevins, Perspectives El Paso.